Welcome, welcome, welcome to Moms in the Huddle. We're in the huddle. No parent stands alone. I want to welcome everybody today. Jillian, how you doing today, sister?
I am doing amazing. We finally got some warm weather in Michigan, so I'm excited.
Oh my goodness, we
Almost
sure did.
too much, too much. Yes, we did.
It is too much. Well, I'm Erica Morgan, one of your huddle hosts, and I am the mom of the Samaj Morgan at the University of Michigan. He is a wide receiver going into his third year. I'm also a mom of Tyler. I can't leave my oldest son out. I know I look 25,
Come
but my
on.
oldest baby is 27. So
Woo!
I just want to say I'm the proud mom of that, and I'm one of your huddle hosts.
Yes. And again, I'm Jillian Blackwell. I'm also your host. We're super excited about tonight. But before we go into that, I am a mom of three boys, Big Mac, JC, Jonathan Christian Perry Blackwell, and I call him Little Rob, but he's not little anymore. Little Rob. So three sons. The reason why we're here is because I just happen to have a D1 son who plays for the University. I was going to say University of Michigan. He does not. He plays for the University of Wisconsin basketball team.
Maybe he needs to be go blue. I don't know.
No. He is. And this show is for parents, coaches, agents, and even athletes who are navigating this new world of competitive sports. We're talking rankings, recruiting. What else are we talking about, Erica?
Oh, we talking about things such as in the NIL, and we're talking about whose money is it anyway? That show coming up, man, Jillian, that was a great idea for that show. We're going to be talking to moms. We're going to be talking to not just sports agents and coaches and players and parents, but we also talk to people that are in the professional arena in many areas that they operate in that our boys may have some type of, touching to. Like tonight, Jillian, we're talking about what? Mental health.
Mental health. Yes. So like, share, follow us on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And we know that's kind of antiquated, but we do have a website. So go to our website, momsandmiddle.com. Inform us of, either you have a guest that you want to hear from, or there might be a topic you want us to cover. Subscribe there, submit your information, and we are actively listening to what our listeners are saying.
Yes, and don't forget to go to our YouTube channel or wherever platform you are on to come and talk live with us. This is a live show today, so we're able to see your remarks, see your chat, see different things that you want to ask the doctor. Today we have Dr. Sabrina Jackson coming, but any guest that we have, you can ask them questions. You can ask us questions. You can kind of just say, hey, can y'all, talk about this, and then we may show your comment on the screen below. So make sure you tune in, go talk to some other parents and tell them Moms in the Huddle is in.
Yeah, tell them we're in a huddle with Moms.
We in the huddle. That's right.
Yeah, so today's episode is really one both of us have talked about before, and because while people see the wins, they see the stats, they see the scholarship offers, they often miss what's happening in the back, behind the scenes. All kids' mental health and their emotional well-being. So again, we're just not raising athletes. We're raising a human being that has feelings and emotions and just all of that. And so mental health plays a huge role in that journey.
You're right, Jillian. I think that when we talk about mental health, it's almost like it's a stigma, right?
Yeah.
It's like taboo, myth. You don't talk about it. You're supposed to be okay. Especially for a lot of our young boys, not just Black boys, but boys across the culture that may be taught, you don't cry, you don't express yourself, right? So then we'll have young men that's doing what? Keeping pinned up anger in them, or pent up rage, or pinned up frustration for it may not be working out for you. Maybe you're at college trying to play football or basketball. So you're right. I think we need to break that stigma.
Yeah. Our goal is always to have real honest conversation. I'm just going to lay it out there. In my personal experience, I twice diagnosed with cancer, and decided my second bout that I just need to talk to somebody about it. And it took me, and so I went in and saw a therapist. But do you know, it took me a month to tell my husband that I was actually seeing a therapist. I was tell him. I would go every Wednesday, and I would say, well, I'm going to see my doctor. I'm going to see what's going on. And so when I finally expressed to him what it was, he was like, babe, that's a good thing. And when I tell you, I just needed to just exhale and talk about the stress I was going through. And I think And I believe the manifestation of my cancer was because I was holding so much stuff. So I was walking the walk, putting the face on, the whole thing, that everything was good, and it wasn't. And that I saw her 6 months every Wednesday, and it was such a blessing. So we're talking about students, but there is a stigma just in general about going to get help and talking about the things that we might be struggling with.
Yeah. Can you think that if we're able to get to our athletes when they're young, other than when they get our age or get 30 and 40, what if we can get to them when they're 18, 19, 20, when we're talking to them about their mental health, talking to them to let them know it's okay to see a therapist. It's okay to sit and talk with someone about what you're going through. Because if they don't think it's okay, they're not going to do it. It's not like what you call the cool thing, because you may look weak in their friends' eyes or to other people. So think about it. What if we can get to them like now? So this is an amazing show. I'm excited to hear what Dr. Sabrina Jackson has to say, because you know what, parents, this is our way to connect in the huddle to where you can go back to your personal huddle with your kid, connect with them and say, it's okay to get help if you're suffering with mental health issues.
Absolutely. And sometimes people think mental health is disconnected from physical health, but mental health, they're companions. What I mean by that, there's a book out there called The Body Keeps Count. And so often when you're dealing with mental health, it will impact our physical health as well. Again, I believe the manifestation of cancer. So they're all tied together. So we want to make sure that we are informing and providing a platform that people get the information so they can be whole, spirit, soul, and body. Physically, yes, mentally, yes, as well. And so I'm super excited.
I am too. We see Gigi Vasquez says, making it the normal.
Yeah.
You know, Gigi, you are so right. When we think about mental health, we don't make it normal. We actually make it abnormal. We make people feel bad for having to go and get help. We almost make them feel like something's wrong with you. When in actuality, if you go get the help you need, you will be a better individual for everybody, for yourself, for your teammates, for your parents. Like I say, we got to get them early. It cannot be something that's looked down upon, which is so why tonight's conversation is needed. Right, Jillian?
Yeah. And I think, when we think about that, when you said they could be a better, well-rounded individual, if they can get it younger at a young age, and when they're going into a relationship, whether dating and or marriage, if they deal with their issues now, girl, they can say, listen, the divorce rate would not be at 50%. I was talking to a financial advisor, and he said the divorce rate for athletes is actually at 75%. I'm sure some of that has to do with the fact that they did not deal with their mental health issues when they were a teenager. And so we're going to do. So I just believe in that this information that Dr. Sabrina Jackson is going to share will be just so amazing. I know it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, we want to invite our guest to the stage.
Ooh, well, let's tell everyone about our guest. Like, we gotta introduce her. What do you know about her, Jillian?
First of all, personally, she's like I have bloodline. I have 5 sisters, so this is my 6th sister, and I have another sister, my 7th sister, who is Renee Wallace. But Dr. Sabrina Jackson is a proud native of Detroit, and she is a God-fearing woman who discovered early on in life that she had a unique gift of communication, and yes, she does. She helps others resolve their challenges and grow into just like the better version of themselves. I love her quote. I won't steal her thunder, but she does have a wonderful quote that she talks about people. She's a graduate of Cass Tech High School. No, I'm just saying she is a graduate of Cass Tech High School, Eastern Michigan University, and she has unwavering pursuit of purpose and destiny. Despite facing numerous personal tragedies, and I know some of them, Dr. Sabrina has turned her pain into purpose, and that's actually a book that she wrote. She uses her experience to guide others towards self-understanding and healing. She earned her master's degree at the age of 23 for Wayne County before launching her own private business. She's actually been an entrepreneur since the 1990s, and she's been successful in that endeavor. She's the author, I mentioned earlier, of several books, Creating Magic, MAGIC, During Uncertainty. He is not a statistic. I think that's a co-author with her son, She'll talk about that. Triumph Under Trauma, My Essential Vision Atlas, Daily Elevations, a 30-day journal of self-awareness. She created the Essential Personality Assessment Test. I've used that internally at Amazon and Microsoft corporations. She has her own clothing line and perfume. I don't have her clothing, but I do have her perfume. And she also coaches women and men across the nation. She's also on Fox 2 News every Monday for Mental Health Monday. So
wow.
Bring to the stage my sister, my girlfriend, and just a phenomenal woman, professional, Dr. Sabrina Jackson.
That's right. Welcome, Dr. Sabrina.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. First of all, let me say this. Mental health is just a part of our health. We have physical health. We have spiritual health. We have relational health. We have financial health. But yes, we have mental health as well. So we all have that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, Dr. Sabrina, I just want to take a few minutes. I know we did a long introduction of who you are, but I wanted, before we dive into, and I read your bio, can you share just a little about what drew you to focus on mental health? Like, why that area expertise?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I saw a movie called Sybil. And I know a lot of people.
I think, one second, I want to make sure. Are you hearing static, Erica?
I am. I think she got to move closer to her speaker.
Yeah, move closer to your mic.
Is that better?
It's a little better. We want to make sure that people hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Do you have headphones or microphone?
Do you want me to put my headphones on?
No. Well, let's try.
I don't have headphones on.
Okay.
Now we can hear you, Dr. Sabrina, but I think maybe it's just some staticky within there, but we can hear you. So maybe you can talk for a second and then we can count.
And we didn't hear it earlier. So
do you want me to go out and come back in?
Let's try that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to bring you back, Dr. Sabrina. We got to hear definitely what she's going to be talking about today. So
quality is there because she's about to drop some nuggets.
Yes, and that's what we want.
We don't want anybody to say, what she do?
No, but you know what? The goodness about what we do, though, Jillian, and the beauty about us being moms, we realize that even on our show, nothing's perfect, right? And we have moments that these types of things happen. And so in the huddle, when life happens, it's how you bounce back. You know what I'm saying?
And it tells us about, it shows that if something's not going right, come on, mental health, you can stop and correct it. And so what we want to do is we want to correct it so we can have a quality show so people can hear. So listen, we don't mind. If you don't mind, we don't mind. We want to make sure we have her in the huddle without any interferences.
Yeah. And I will say, when we are talking about mental health is one of those topics that even though people think it's taboo, I think that people find it therapeutic on platforms like these. Like, you have many people going to, like, a lot of shows. They have podcasts where people are going and they're expressing what happened in their life. I remember listening to, and it had something to do with what was it, Kirk Franklin. He was talking about how he wasn't able to, connect with his mom and his father, but it was therapeutic for him. He began to even, I think, cry and show tears. So it wasn't a form of weakness, but he was telling his story. So mental health is very therapeutic.
Absolutely.
So I think we got Dr. Sabrina back. Let's bring her back to the stage. Dr. Sabrina, are you able to hear us?
I can hear you, but I still hear the static.
We don't.
Sound a little bit better.
You sound better, baby.
Okay.
Awesome. So my question was, when we think about, first of all, you're smart as a whip. You went to CT. You're just brilliant. Every time I sit with you, and I just want to know, like, what made you, or what drew you to focus on mental health? And you started talking when you were 5 years old.
When I was 10 years old, 10, I saw a movie called Sybil. Sybil was a movie about a multiple personality played by Sally Fields. Yes. And I was fascinated by the fact that the therapist was able to talk to her and say, oh, no, I don't want to talk to that one. go get that one. And that fascinated me that a
Mm.
person, one, was able to do that, but the
Yeah.
therapist was able to diagnose it and work with her where she was. So at the age of 10, I knew I wanted to work to help people who had mental challenges. But let me say this, one of the major struggles I had came from the church. Because
Mm.
one day I was in church and my pastor at the time, who was also my godfather, uh, from the pulpit said, "You all running around going to see therapists and psychologists. Y'all don't need that. Y'all just need Jesus." And
Oh,
Ooh.
it devastated me because it made me feel like what I wanted to be, it wasn't necessary.
yeah.
Mm.
So
Wow.
I work
Wow.
a
Well, that,
lot with pastors to help them knowing that you can have Jesus and a Dr. Sabrina.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I like that because you know what? In the church or in the maybe not just the black church, but a lot of churches, I will say, starting off, Jesus is the answer. But the beauty about God is he put therapists in the earth in
Mm.
order to help us work through because we are working together. Dr. Sabrina, even though there is a stigma within the church and within the community, how do you help people overcome that stigma and to really go and get the mental health that they need?
The first thing is I talk about the fact that when we talk about mental health really is an umbrella. And under the umbrella, there are
So, Dr. Katrina,
things
you
that
know I love you. This is what we're gonna have to do. You have to stay like right here. Don't move. Because
Move close and talk.
when you move, that's when we get static. Because you're about, I know you're dropping nuggets, but we want to hear. So go ahead now again. Go ahead, baby.
okay. So the mental health umbrella has things from one continuum to another. One is being totally mentally well, all the way to mental illness. And on any
Mm.
given day, something can occur that will kick you closer to mental wellness or kick you closer to mental
Mm.
illness. So
Wow.
whenever I talk to people, my first question is, if you look at your life, do you like it?
Mhm.
Mm.
9 times out of 10, if they're sitting with me, the answer is no. And then my next question is, are you willing to do something that you've never done to have something you don't currently have? And if
Mm.
you're willing, then we can go there because mental work with mental challenges, I have a arsenal of things that I do. I don't just do talk therapy. I may
Yeah.
do coloring. I may have activities. I may send them to a rage room. There's so many things to do to deal with your mental health. And so you need a professional that is able to assess what's going on with you and then develop the type of plan that is unique to you, individualized, that can help you on your road.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. And
I
I
like.
think I hear what you're saying. I guess, sometimes we might put, and we have a tendency to put a lot of stuff in the box. So a lot of what I'm hearing is don't put each person is unique, and so you'll customize your training or pull out the tool for that particular individual. So I love that. Yeah,
Yes,
Miss.
Yeah.
and let me say this about young men,
Mm,
because I raised one.
yeah.
And one of the things that uh, men say, because I've talked about this on TV even, that when I talk about the benefits of crying, there are
Mhm.
benefits to crying. There's benefits to you physically as well as emotionally. And so when I was doing the interview on Fox
I think we lost you again, Dr. Sabrina.
Yeah. I heard you say
crying was,
physically and mentally.
can you hear me?
You
We can
sound
hear you.
you sound like you in a tunnel.
It says it's having trouble connecting, it's unstable.
Your connection.
That's what it is.
Okay, I'm
So I think that's
coming
your
again.
connection.
Hold on 1 minute.
No,
Okay.
I think that is your connection. And I
It's
think
right
that
here.
Here's what I think it is. We're trying to get something out to the people that people are really suffering with, Jillian.
Come on.
Sometimes we got to recognize that when we start seeing things, okay, all of a sudden, majority of our guests that come on here, and we're going to have another mental health specialist come on too. He's a doctor that he was an athlete, but I will say Dr. Sabrina is giving some amazing information. And the information she's giving is something that can actually transform lives, Jillian. So it's amazing that the moment we're getting to the good stuff, the internet is acting up, right? And it's hot outside. It could be just that issue.
Could be.
But
you had some issues this weekend with the heat, right?
Let me tell you. Absolutely. We've had issues where our whole unit went out. So now we're replacing a whole unit. So I'm sitting in here, even though I look cool. Let me tell you. Thank the Lord for a fan, okay?
Yeah.
Together, but that's okay. But you're right. And I think because of that, a lot of people are having internet issues, but it looks like Dr. Sabrina is back. Dr. Sabrina, we're going to bring you back to the stage for whatever you're trying to say. The enemy is really trying to cut you off, but nope, we're not going to let them, because you're here and we want you to minister to our people in our community, the mental health. Go right ahead. Let's see if we can hear you now.
Okay, so one of the things that I was saying to Ryan the day that he interviewed me about crying, he said, "Isn't that just for women?" And my response to that was, if Ryan Armani from Fox 2, he's a big sports guy. He is on the 9. He went to U of M, all of that. But he says, "Isn't that just for women?" And I said, well, if God did not intend for men to cry, they would not have tear ducts.
No, they would not.
God could have made a man without tear ducts.
Yes, he could.
Right. But he did.
But he did. I
So
love that.
there is a benefit to all of us when we cry, when we get those emotions out. Because if you keep them in, it will impact you physically.
Wow.
When we talk about having a disease, it starts with dis-ease, that you're not peaceful, you're not calm. There's something going on that you are not dealing with. You may not be talking about it, but you are definitely thinking about it and you're feeling it. So it is so incredibly important to have someone to talk to.
That's good. That's good.
You said that that's a part of disease. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jillian.
Go ahead.
No, you said, so when people are keeping things within them, it's a part of a dis-ease, which is a dis-ease within the body that can cause diseases. So when it comes down to our athletes, how are we able to really reach the younger community to come and see a specialist like yourself so that you're able to assist and help them with, things without seeming too controlling to our kids?
Well, one of the things that I am very excited about right now in our culture is that we have shows and movies that young people like and that they watch. And these shows are normalizing talking to somebody. So one of the examples is The Shy. And my son and I watched The Shy, and about 2 seasons ago, they started with all the men coming together on their own, like a little group, and they would talk about what issues they had going on, whether it was about their money, about their business, about their women, about their children. And one of the things that I love is that they would always let the person just talk, and then they would ask them, how can we help you with that?
Yeah, I've never watched it. I'm not familiar with that show. Are you familiar with that show, Erica?
I've heard of it, but I have not watched it. Sometimes you get into certain series, and you got to watch it from the very first season. Yeah. I don't have the time. I wish I did.
Yeah,
I sound like I may want to get into it just to understand what Dr. Sabrina is saying, because I think that our young men going to talk with one another, that's so beneficial for them.
Yeah, no, that's great.
There is another show called All American. All American is
I have
about football. It had Tay Diggs with his fine self. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me
Oh, I
come back.
do remember that
Uh,
show. Yeah.
but in that show, people got help. People
Got
got counseling. And so one of the things that I find is that when we begin to normalize it in media, it
it.
helps to normalize it for our young people. And so I really like those things because even when I tell my story about why I decided to do what I do, it came from watching a movie.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
media can be very, very powerful. And I think that as parents, sometimes we can watch things with our children
Yeah.
to see what emotions it evokes for them and then talk to them about it. I know that there's a movie because there's such a wide range of things that affect our mental wellness. And one of them is just differences in culture and differences in race. And so
yeah.
there's a movie called Origin. Origin is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I feel like every human being needs to see that movie.
What's it called
Not just
again?
every child. Origin. Origin. Origin.
Okay.
And
All right.
it starts out with you think it's going to be about the Trayvon Martin killing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so much deeper. It's
Okay.
so much deeper. And so what I've done, I at Oakland University we had a showing of the movie, and then we had a panel discussion where people can ask questions. And I just think it is a very profound movie, and it's a great discussion for, especially for our young men who are going to be going off to school or they're already off at school with different cultures.
Oh, that's really good. So we've thrown up, Dr. Sabrina has thrown up at least two resources in the form of a movie that you can sit down with your young adult and watch and have discussions around the importance of mental health. And so that goes to my next line of questioning. Like, what are some of the unique stressors student athletes might face that people outside of the sports
Yeah.
world often will overlook? And when I say people outside of the sports world, like parents, you're in, that's my son, right? I was talking to my oldest son today and I was asking him about the playoffs. He picked me up from the airport and I said, hey, so are the playoffs over? He was like, Mom, for you to be a sportsman, you really don't know what's going on. And so we are in it, but we pay attention, but we don't. And so we would hope that we're paying attention to our young adults. But what would be some of the unique stressors that we may overlook as parents, as coaches? What would those be?
Well, I think first of all, it's just the relationship with the coach, the
Mm,
relationship with the conditioning coaches, the
mm,
relationship with the people who have, for lack of a better term, charge over them. And so
mm,
maintaining that relationship, because some young people really seek to please them because one, they want the playing time. I mean, there's a lot of things that
Right.
go into that. But that is a major stressor. If they feel like they're not being supported, they're not being heard, they're not getting the playing time, that can be extremely stressful. The
yeah.
second is the comparison with
Mm-hmm.
other team members.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
huge.
Yes.
It is.
And then the third is dating.
Hmm.
Let's pause right there for a second. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, that's good, Jillian, because when you think about being an athlete, they are vied, their attention is vied for by so many young ladies.
Yes.
And they come into their lives, and if they let the wrong young lady mess up their mental state, they're
Ooh,
not able to play a good game. They're not able to complete their schoolwork. They're probably not able to really go to the next level. We've seen women take down some mighty men through the mental ways they play games with them. And
wow.
same for guys. Because
Yeah.
mental health is more, it's just not just for our young boys. We got young girls out here where men are coming in and maybe playing games with their mind,
Wow.
and so you're right, Dr. Sabrina. It's like that could be an issue, not just for our young boys, but for our girls that run track, our girls that play volleyball, soccer, you know?
And let me say this, as women from a certain era, we have to understand that what the young people are exposed to now is totally different.
Yes.
Their exposure is different, and how they navigate dating and things of that nature. I remember, because my son is newly married, but I remember when he first met his now wife, they didn't meet in person. They were seeing each other on Instagram.
On
Mm,
screen.
So he saw her on Instagram and he said to me, I don't know if this is going to be a business meeting or a date. And I said, oh, really? I said, why? He says, because as I looked at her profile and I
mm.
looked at her post, it's something special about that.
Come
So
on now.
to
Wow.
have the mindset
Mm.
of what you're looking at and what you're looking for. And so, and when you are rejected, if
Yeah.
you
Mm,
really like somebody, rejection can send you down a spiral. And
Yeah.
so
yes.
one of the things that I tell parents all the time is that, especially when you get to, and it's so crazy that we're talking about this today, because this was my topic on
Yeah.
Mental Health Mondays. My topic today on Fox was how, as parents, you handle when your adult children come home for the summer and
Mhm.
they're young adults, but they're in your house. And so how do you make sure that they're still
Mm,
following your rules? Because what they did at college and when they were on their own may not be appropriate in the household. And
that's
Yeah.
so
true.
how to have those discussions, what things as parents you need to set clear expectations and boundaries. Sometimes you'll think that, oh, they should know that already. I'm their mama,
Mm,
I'm their daddy. No, have the discussion so that everyone is clear. We
yeah,
make assumptions, and when we make assumptions, we mess it up for everybody.
for everybody. That's amazing because as I think when I was growing up, you know, I've already been 18, 19, 20, right? I
Right.
I think I was talking to Jillian. Were we there? I don't know. Were we cracking some crab? We was at eating
We
some
might have been.
crab.
We might have been.
I said, Jillian, I said, you know, I be thinking like my kids or my young adults know where my mindset or is, or where not just my mindset, but what they should be doing. We always tell them, you know what to do, but
Right.
that's their first time going through age 18, 19, 20. I've been through it. I'm 47. And it's like the expectation we put on them is like, you should know. But sometimes, like you say, they don't know. Sit
No.
down and have the discussion. So that is a very good piece of information to just say, talk to your kids
Yeah. Yeah.
or your young adult, rather.
Yeah, we got to even get out of the habit of calling them kid. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to my oldest son, and I said, my middle son called me and said, "Well, let me get on the phone with that boy." And my oldest son said, "Ma, he ain't a boy." I said, "Okay, well, brother, what's your mama?" But Dr. Sabrina, so we talked about assumptions and making assumptions, right? And assuming they know things. But how can coaches, parents, and even teammates recognize, not make assumptions about early signs of mental and emotional distress in an athlete? Like how can
Well, the
they?
first thing is that you have to know and pay attention to the person because every person is different. And so their symptomatology will be different. Let me give you an example. If you know your kid is high energy, is always up at night on the phone doing, and then you see a shift and they sleeping all the time, something wrong.
Mm,
If
yeah.
they are the type of person who say, oh no, I have to get my 8 hours in, but now they ain't sleeping at all, something's going on. If
Yeah.
their appetite's changing, if the way that they're talking about their life, about themselves
Mhm.
changes and shifts, you pay attention. So I always tell my son, if you think it, I feel it because you came out of me, I didn't come out of you. And
Mm,
so
Mhm.
I pay attention. Even now, he's 32 years old and lives in his own home with a whole wife and all of that. But sometimes he can call me now, and I go, what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can hear it in his voice, and so then I am gonna drop what I'm doing to give him the attention that he needs. Because if he's reaching out, I don't want to cut him off. And then sometimes it's busy mothers.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. I got this call to do. No, and if you do have to stop and do something, make sure you let them know when you're going to get back to them. Say, I got to do this call like I'm doing right now. However, as soon as I'm done, and it's going to be this time, I'm going to call you back, because they need to know that there is a safe place for them to land.
Yeah.
I like that. And you know that, yeah, that's good. I mean, I think that for myself as a mom of two boys, I have to hear their voice almost every day or every other day. And whatever tone I hear in their voice, my first is, son, how's it going? And I do, like my oldest, I want him to be able to share his story when he's ready. He's been diagnosed with some things, and he has an amazing story of a mental health triumph. But in even going through that as a mother, mental health is something that can take you down a road that you don't even know how far or deep that road can go. Because surface level for a lot of people is, oh, mental health, I'm just maybe feeling depressed today. But the more severe forms of mental health, mania, schizoaffective disorder, schizophrenia, bipolar, where athletes may deal with that because they played the game and they've had head trauma that have made their mental states not have enough serotonin to where their logical reasoning in the frontal lobe is not reasoning no more. It's like, how then do you help them heal without hopefully never losing them to suicide? You get what I'm saying? Because those are the things that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that's so important is that people really think that if I start talking about and asking questions about suicide, they're scared to ask the question because they feel like if they do and the person is suicidal, that's going to lead them to committing suicide.
Yeah.
That is not the case. If the person is showing ideations and challenges, that's when you have to talk to them.
Yeah.
You have to ask them the questions, because if they say, well, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and yes, I have a plan.
We can't hear you.
Hospitalization and help, because there's 3 reasons why.
Dr. Sabrina, you're kind of going out.
Yeah, because you're saying some good stuff, Dr. Sabrina, but we are so unable to hear you. But from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're giving us some good tidbits on how to deal with someone that is suffering with mental health. What we're going to have to do is have you come back on a live show where we're in person probably too. But you're doing great today as much as we can gain information. But for what we need, like, people really, really need to hear what you have to say. And we can hear you somewhat, but I'm going to let you see if you're able to give us those 3 points you were just giving us. Go right ahead.
I was trying to say that there's 3 reasons why people get hospitalized.
Okay.
The first is they're a danger to themselves, so that means they're suicidal. The second, they're a danger to others, so now they're homicidal. And then the third may sound a little unorthodox, but they're a danger to property. So when you find that there's children who tear up their rooms and tear up the house, that is a reason to get checked out.
Yeah.
So the first I heard you say a danger to themselves, suicidal, danger to others, homicidal, and danger to property. So we're seeing our young men and our young women maybe punching holes in the walls or destroying things in their own home or their apartments or breaking things. Then we can see maybe we need to kind of talk to them. We need to pull them to the rug and say, hey, son, what's going on? How are you feeling today? You know, or even a danger to themselves.
And Dr. Sabrina, let me ask you a question. So I had a really good friend of mine who dated a gentleman who was a football player. And so I hear what you're saying, those three things, but I think he actually showed all three. So he would physically throw things to her, he would hit on her, and eventually, unfortunately, he committed suicide. And so
Mm.
he was acting out, showing those signs. Perhaps it started with, I'm gonna throw an object. The object didn't get you, so now I'm gonna physically hit you with my hand. And then he was just in so much pain. But we found out later, actually, it was due to a number of things. But he did. This is an eye opener for me. And again, we were way younger. This probably was like 20 years ago. I'm dating myself. Maybe not so long ago. Maybe it was about 10 years ago. But anyway, but it's so I'm gonna say this to young women and young men. If you're seeing some of these signs, we talked about dating earlier. So if you're seeing some of these signs, that they may start with small things like kicking or throwing a book or punching a hole in the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Navigate to now that wall is now you.
Mm.
And then because they're tormented, because that's what we're talking about, and not dealing with getting the help that they need, that's when it's. So that was what I saw with the gentleman as I think about it, just based on those three things that you mentioned. He had progressed into that.
And,
Wow.
and let me say this, one of the buzz terms right now that we hear is emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And young people, they stab each other. They'll say, well, he's not emotional intelligent. They know the terms, baby. But we
Right.
really need to understand what the terms mean.
Yes.
So emotional intelligence has four parts to it. The first part is self-awareness. You
Yeah.
absolutely have to know yourself. Know
Self-awareness.
why you do the things that you do. Know why you have to have everything neat. Or know why you like chaos. But you need to understand how you're wired. The second is self-regulation.
Mm.
You have to be able to control yourself.
Mm,
If a person calls you outside of your name, does that give you the right to go ballistic? No.
right.
So you have to learn how to manage your own behavior.
Right.
Right.
The third is social awareness. And this is so critical in the world because when you get out in the world, you have to be aware of what's going on around you. You have to
That's
pay
right.
attention to what's going on around you so that you can always keep yourself and the people you love safe. And
Right.
then the last is relationship management. And
Mm.
that's a huge one because one of the things that I say all the time is that you should routinely examine your circle of friends.
Oh, that's
It's
good.
not because you were my friend last week, behavior may dictate that you're not a friend this week.
Mm,
So, but this is the critical part because young people, older people do it too. But once you identify that this person is really not someone who should be in your inner circle, that don't mean that you can't go have wings with them one night or go watch a game. Yeah, you can still do that. But your inner circle are people that you can trust
Yes.
with your secrets, that you
yeah.
can talk to when you're happy or when you say it, who is not going to belittle you, who is not going to bully you, but
Mm-hmm.
they will boost you. They will do things to make life better for you. So the scripture tells us iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I add to it and say, but it should not cut. I
Oh,
Mm.
believe you better and not believe it.
wow.
Wow. So it's called setting boundaries. I like that. You said iron sharpens iron. That's a good word from the word, but it should not cut. And I like how you just said that just because you're friends with a person this week doesn't mean that they're a good fit or a good friend for you the next week.
Right.
Meaning you don't have to keep people for a season in your
Yeah.
life. It
Yeah.
can get to a point to where you see something, you begin to set the boundaries in order to protect what? Your mental health.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing games with people and that person is this, I always tell my kids, watch out with who is an asset to you versus a debt or a liability. People that are going to take from you emotionally. If you're drained when you're done talking to them and you're drained all the time, 9 times out of 10, your peace is being affected. But if you feel more vibrant and then they're around you and they're adding to you, they're adding benefits of even not just monetarily, but emotional, like you say, the emotions of a person. You get what I'm saying? When they could be an asset to you, because if they're no longer an asset, then you're just being depleted and withdraw from.
Yeah.
No,
that's good. Hey, go ahead, Dr. Sabrina. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say one of the things that is so important, especially with our young men and women who are athletes, is to understand the ups and downs of life. Because you're never going to win all the time.
right.
And if you don't learn how to lose, it will take you out.
Ooh, say that one more time for the people in the back.
And then to be real honest, the lessons that are the most critical lessons on how you build your character don't necessarily come when you win all the time. It's how you handle a loss.
Really good.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so talking to your young people about winning and losing and how to win gracefully and not have to stick your finger in somebody's face. It's so important. And so the other thing I think that's important is, especially in the world of sports.
I want to pause on that for a second because we're talking to, you're saying we need to remind our young adults about the importance of and understanding the things that they can learn within losing. But oftentimes, I think some of the athletes get it. It's some of the parents who may not get. Johnny's in the back seat and daddy or aunt or mommy is talking about what you didn't do to win that game. And so they don't allow them that loss and learn the language of the benefits of losing, the things that you may have. What did you learn from that loss? Right. And so I challenge, when we talk about mental health, I challenge some of the parents that as your child goes through the ebbs and flows of playing a particular sport and just life in general, there will be, and sometimes I'm speaking to myself because me and my husband, I have been so nervous sometimes not wanting my son to lose. I couldn't even sit my tail down in the right? We have this thing called watch and pray. He watch and I go outside and pray. But sometimes it's the parents that take all that stress and put it on their children. And that's the child is like, well, we was going to lose to the team because it's number one team and we're number 10. Right. So I just challenge and myself to think about how that plays into your child's mental health, that if they lose a game, it's okay. What lesson, Johnny, Jill, Tommy, did you get from that? So I just want to pause for that because we pointed to the kids, but sometimes it's us.
That's true.
One of the things that's very important is that the number one way we learn or teach a social or behavioral skill is by modeling. So,
say that is by what again? By modeling?
Your people do what you do. Now,
oh, that's good.
I like that.
It's always upset throwing stuff, and they're gonna see that, and they're gonna think that that's okay.
Yeah.
Even as the parent, how are you at handling stress? How are you at going to get help? Because if it is okay to do it, do you do it?
That's good.
Right.
That's good. Yeah. You're gonna bring up when I interrupted you, and now I'm interrupting Erica. But I just wanted to make sure that you didn't forget the second thing you were about to say when I said pause for that.
Now I'm old. I don't remember.
That's okay. But I do have a question, Eric, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jillian. I like the flow. Go right ahead.
All right. So we talk about learning how that you're going to win and lose, understanding the ebbs and flows. But many students really tie their entire identity to their sport. I'm a basketball player. I love what you have a book out called I Am More Than a Statistic. I think that's the title. I probably botched it up.
He is not a statistic.
He is not a statistic. And so what happens when the identity is challenged and or changed, whether it's through an injury? I have a younger son that's dealing with an injury right now. Your performance a little, dips a little, or you have a life transition. I was married to an athlete. He went through some challenges and changes when he was no longer in the limelight. I have an uncle Glenn's uncle played in the NFL. I have Glenn's cousin playing in the NFL. So what happens when your whole identity is tied to Glenn Blackwell, John Blackwell, and that is tied to a university, a college, or whatever that is? What happens when that's gone? When everything is tied to your identity?
The thing is that's so important. That's why I love the fact that Christ is not just our Redeemer. He is a rabbi that teaches us how to live as a human.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that Christ got a bunch of accolades all the time at different places, but then there were places and spaces that he didn't. But he never changed who he was.
That's
right. So you have to understand that you build your character on who you are and not what you do.
That's right. I like that. And I will
and you have to, and it's easy. Let me tell you, I know, because it's easy to get caught up in, oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, I see you. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. However, I know that everything that I do, God gives me the ability to do it. And so I don't get caught up in the accolades. I get caught up in praise and worship and gratitude for the fact that I'm able to do it. But what I used to tell my son, I used to say, you're extremely gifted athletically. He was. He's just gifted.
Yes, still is.
I said, and he still is. But I told him that the gift you didn't give to yourself.
That's right.
So you have to make sure that you are always in a space of gratitude for the gift giver. Because if you're not, the gift giver can take the gift.
But I will. I like that, and you know what, we should. And the good thing with mental health is you talked about Christ. I love him so much too, and I love him unapologetically. I know we're moms in a huddle, but he is my savior. But I will say this: the Bible does talk to us about having the mind of Christ. And I think that can help a lot with our mental health. And people may say, oh, you're talking about this. But when I say he is really the mind regulator, and a lot of people don't put their trust in him to help them through the process. And when he do send us to a doctor like Dr. Sabrina Jackson to help us get our minds together, that's where the appreciation comes for us loving our neighbor as ourselves. Because I think, Dr. Sabrina, you are placed in this world to help a lot of our young athletes and our adults that are going through, and our parents, help our minds to get regulated in the right direction. So I'm appreciative for that. Where can people follow you or find you when it comes to your books and your social media, to where they'll know how to get through to you on that?
It is simply my name, SabrinaJackson.com. That is my website. From my website, you can get to all of my social media. But my tag, my brand is that I'm the people expert. And they call me the people expert because I help people with people, even if that person themselves. Because oftentimes you think it's somebody else with the problem, and it's really you standing in the need of some help. And so that's what I do.
Wow. And I did just show it on our Moms in a Huddle, www.sabrinajackson.com. Is that your website, Dr. Sabrina?
That's the website. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're so happy to have you.
If you Google her, she's going to come up. But years ago when I Googled her, guess whose mom would come up? You know that's Dr. Sabrina. 50 Cent's mother was Sabrina Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay.
People call me people call me and say, "Can you introduce me to your son?" And I'd be like, "My son? You want to meet my son?" Yeah.
Right.
They talking about the wrong song, huh?
He's not my son.
Right. But she has dominated the domain now. If you look up Dr. Sabrina Jackson, you're going to find the people expert.
Yes. Well, Dr. Jackson, we thank you so much for being a part of Moms in a Huddle. We don't want to take it for granted that you showed up for your time. We're going to definitely have you back to where you're able to share more knowledge with us about the mental health landscape, about those things. So thank you so much for joining us.
I am so honored that was able to do the podcast with you, amazing mothers. And I just want to let your audience know that I did write a book about raising a young Black male by myself. So it's called He Is Not a Statistic, 12 Laws for Single Mothers Raising Black Males. And so I call them laws and not principles or tips, because principles or tips you can take or leave. Laws are mandates. I know these words.
Yeah. Are they able to find that on your website?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And I can I'll tell you, I don't know if this is a law, but something Dr. Sabrina taught me years ago. I just want to share this nugget. And I'm sure I've shared this with you, Dr. Sabrina. So I've known her for a while. I knew her son when he was probably younger than my youngest. So I've been knowing Dr. Sabrina for a long time. And so I admired their relationship. Like they just had a really good relationship. I said, how did that happen? She said, well, listen, when they talk, you don't have a facial expression. You just listen. I said, you can't be shocked. You can't. They just allow them to share. And I took that, and they were younger, and I would just listen. And now they tell me everything, and I'd be like, Lord Jesus, thank you, Sabrina. But I have such a good relationship with all three of my young men, my sons, because I allow them to talk. Even so, like last night, my son came down talking about the game. My husband was trying to sleep. Me and my big son, Big Mac, we were chopping it up. And Glenn said, "Could y'all please take that conversation?" Because we talk about everything. And so, thank you, Sabrina, I don't know if that's a law. If it's not, you need to teach that, because it has helped me raise a 22-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 17-year-old that we have a really good relationship and conversation.
Yeah.
I remember when you were like, "I don't want them to date. I don't wanna. I'm not ready." And now look at you.
Yes, ma'am. And I love their beautiful young women.
Thank you, Dr. Sabrina. Love you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Wow. Whew.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. I mean, I'm excited that for what we could get from her today in her conversation, that we actually talked about mental health, but we're actually going to be bringing more mental health guests on to talk about it. And I think mental health is one of those things that should not be taboo, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was really good. Again, I think this should be a topic that we constantly emphasize with all that's going on with student athletes and just young people in general. If they have a resource, if they have a place that their parents can get this information, and we provide them with resources, that's what we want to do. That's why we want to make sure that we're in a huddle with them, and we want to make sure that they are sound mind as well. Got a sound body. Stay in a gym. The says the bodily exercise is what profited little. So it's great you got on the muscles, but what's going on in that head right there?
That's right. And you don't want it to be too late. Okay. So Dr. Sabrina can definitely be reached, everyone, at her website there. I put it up there again. She has books available. We're excited for you to go there and just, support her as well, other than, just listening as much as we could today. But we thank Dr. Sabrina for joining us, because that was some good information. Well, we're coming to a very important part of our Moms in a Huddle. We're not going to forget you as it relates to the legal tip. Okay. Yes. Let me bring to the stage the legal tip. Now, I want to talk about something good today, Jillian. I think you may really appreciate this, because this pretty much talks about mainly with the branding of who our boys is. But one thing that I want people to know when it talks about NIL, name, image, and likeness. I want you to now learn how to monitor for unauthorized use or being vigilant in monitoring for unauthorized use of your name, image, and likeness. That means just because you're an athlete does not mean that someone can come and take your name, use it for their gain, and you not get paid for it. Basically, a sports lawyer can definitely help you pursue a lot of these legal actions. Mainly, the first thing you want to do is a cease and desist letter. What is that? It's a letter that demands the unauthorized party to stop using your likeness or brand. A lot of time, athletes will sign a contract with the company for 1 year, maybe 2. And then after that athlete is done or that contract is done, that company may continue to use their name, image, and likeness without their authorization. You can actually tell them, hey, I think that I should be compensated if you're going to continue the use of it. Because what it does is you have different laws that will help you. Sometimes people don't know their name is big. You have different laws that will help you. It's called the right of publicity claim, meaning it's applicable when someone uses your name, image, or likeness for commercial gain without permission. The legal basis in most states, they recognize it as a right of publicity, which protects against unauthorized use of your identity. What are some of the remedies? Monetary damages, injunctions, order to stop use, and the possible punitive damages for even using it. Another thing that we want to tell you about trademark infringement. You may have a brand or logo. I know my son has Dub Show LLC. Okay. He has Dub Show. He has his foundation logo. So if people are using it in a way that can cause someone to be confused, whether it's you or them, okay, you want to make sure that people are not trademark infringing upon you. Okay. And sometimes you need to look up what the Lanham Act is. It's a federal trademark law that protects your right to where someone can't come in and call. Somebody just call himself Dub Show LLC. You can't come and call yourself Sub Show LLC. And then you're doing some of the same things that he's doing. So think about that. Copyright infringement is another applicable law where you have your image, video, or written content being used without your permission. We see this a lot when people are using songs. A lot of people, when they're making things on Instagram or TikTok, they'll say, this is not my song. They'll say different things. But sometimes people are using your songs or using your image and different things without your permission. They have to ask you. So it's protected under the copyright law infringement. So you can actually sue people for these things. So I want to tell the athletes that are out there in any sports that they have, make sure you pay attention to the unauthorized use of your name, image, and likeness. And if they are using it, get compensated for it. They could be making millions off of you. And then you're sitting up here like, well, I just didn't know. Well, get in the know. You will know who's using your name illegally, because it will help you down the road, especially when you become bigger names. Okay. So that's the legal tip with Erica. And I just want to encourage you, know for yourself to where you're not walking around in ignorance about what your legal rights are. All right.
Thank you, Attorney Erica Esquire. Appreciate it.
Hey, clink, 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 clink. I like how Sabrina was like clink, 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 clink. It was cute. So yes, well,
it's time for Moms in a Huddle marketing moment, because talent open doors, but the proper marketing keeps them open. We want doors to stay open, not shut. Yeah. So our marketing moment is use data to back your game. What do I mean by that? I work for second largest company in the world. You can Google it. I've worked for Microsoft. I worked for AT&T. I worked for Xerox. And the thing that I heard over and over again is data. Where's the data? Show us the data. So you can, as a student athlete, as a parent of a student athlete, use data to back the game. And so why is this powerful? So stats really help tell the stories that words, even highlight videos, can't always capture. So in the world of, again, we know in the world of recruiting and NIL, number speaks louder than the hype. There are a lot of people that got hype videos, but if you can show your numbers, whether you are a high school scoring guard or a lockdown defender or a track star, shaving seconds off your time, your data adds proof to your performance and positions you as a serious contender. And so here's some action items. Here's some things you can do. As a parent, encourage your student athletes to start tracking and sharing like basic performance metrics, like weekly or monthly, so they can post them using simple, bold visuals like 5 goals in 7 games, 3 forced turnovers in 2 quarters, average 9.2 rebounds per game this session. Real simple, clean, crisp, got to the point. 5 goals and
like
7.
that.
Yeah. So what that does is this content is quick. It's quick to consume because, you know, people are scrolling. They don't have a lot of information. So, and it's memorable to recruiters. If they're scrolling through hundreds of profiles, if they're looking at all the hype, but you have something that says 7 goals in 7 games or 7 goals in 14 games, they're going to stop and they're going to pay attention. So what you can do is to make it stand out the most, you can design or download a stat card. Canva works really well with that your athlete can update regularly. So maybe one week is 5 goals in 7 games, but the following week he had a better performance. You want to use the same look and feel, so your branding is consistent. So it has the same color, same positions. You also want to include in there your class year, update your stats. So think of it like a LinkedIn post meets ESPN graphics, right? And here's the bonus. Pair the stat card with a short video clip or a caption showing the hustle behind the numbers, like a conditioning workout or a pregame prep. Like that's the kind of layered branding that builds trust in who you are and visibility. Until next time, that's been your Moms in a Huddle marketing moment. One of the things that we're saying is use data to back your game, because data tells the story even faster and better than a video hyped up video can. So that's the Moms in a Minute marketing moment for today.
Yes, I like that, Jillian. I like that. Yeah. And I will say, we're going to have an extra show for you guys this week. So for those of you that just love Moms in a Huddle and just love the content that we're bringing and the energy that we're bringing, this Wednesday, we're going to have another live show. We're going to have Doug Cohen and his wife, Allie Cohen, that comes on. He's from M10 Social. He's a personal brand. He's talking about personal branding in the age of NIL for student athletes. He says that he has a different way that we need to be looking at marketing. Jillian, I think you're going to love when they come on Wednesday.
I love
a different way to look at marketing beyond just getting paid for your name, image, and likeness. I think he's going to talk about you being your name, image, and likeness, and how to be what that is. Like Jillian talks about that a lot, like brand yourself. So they're going to be here on Wednesday. They're going to talk about what they do, and they're going to talk about, they have a studio in West Bloomfield that they take pictures at. So they're going to talk about some things there for the families and their athletes too. So I'm excited. Sometime we're going to be giving y'all an extra week of certain things because, Jillian, I think we got another brand to come. We're going to have 2 shows in the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
Same week, aren't we?
Marketing is so important. So especially in this landscape, you got to own your own brand. And I would just throw this out too. You know, talk about Dr. Sabrina Jackson. Again, she owns her name, SabrinaJackson.com. I'm going to say to every parent that's listening, please go out and get your son's name, because if they are in high school and they go to college and they make the name for themselves, someone will grab their name, their domain name, and you would have to start paying for it. Like I have the Jonathan Blackwell, because Jonathan Blackwell now costs money, and I'm not buying it.
I know that's right. We have SamajMorgan.org, and Samaj Morgan has multiple things under his name. He has multiple things under his branding company. So you're right. You have to be able to know how to brand your kid and get the things that's theirs, that's personal to them. How you gonna go out and buy my name and make money off it?
Yeah.
Or how about this, Jillian? Sell it to me for $5,000.
That part. Yeah. And I would say if you haven't got the .com or the .org, the thing that's hot right now is the .ai, because people are not necessarily Googling you. They're going through chat and they're going through different AI apps to find your information. And so it costs a little bit more than the typical .com, .org, .net. But get Shamaz.ai. jamajmorgan.ai, because
That's a good thing.
I don't even search Google no more. I go straight to chat. I'm searching everything in chat.
And there's so many AI tools, but we're going to learn so much more about branding on Wednesday, because I'm telling you, it's everything we can talk about in the huddle is everything we need to know in the huddle, right?
Absolutely. So this has been wonderful. We'll talk again on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk again on Wednesday. Please go get everyone that you know. We apologize for some of the technical difficulties we had tonight if you had issues listening in, but we will say we're going to work out some kinks. We're human. We thank you for joining and coming and being a part. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, invite, and as Jillian say, go to the website. Give us your email information so where you will know what's coming out, what's happening. We'll even email you. So without further ado, moms in the huddle. Moms in the huddle. Where they at?
In the huddle. Moms in the huddle.
Where they at?
In the huddle. Moms in the huddle.
Where they at?
In the huddle. What's the next part?
The anthem. Get them hands up. Hey, we in the huddle. Thank you guys for joining us, and have a great and blessed day, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.